Hindsight is 2020, but I did not see that coming. But yeah, thinking back, it does make sense. If our boy Kafka can transform into a kaiju, you could suspect that potentially kaijus could transform into humans. And honestly, I wasn't sure what was going on. When we seemingly defeated the exam and this humanoid looking kaiju pops up, I'm thinking, okay, that's interesting. Either we're dealing with a situation where that thing just decided to pop out of the thing we killed, or it snuck in to wreak havoc. The reveal at the end that there's imposters among us. Now, it could just be the singular one. It's possible. Apparently a part of the cleanup crew in terms of its identity blending in with humans. But the idea that, as far as we know, we could have seen dozens of imposters. Now, it may not be that crazy, but what happens if one of the, because as far as we know, this could be a leader of one of the kaijus, like one of the captains, or maybe it is the big bad of the show, who knows? But what are we going to do if the second in command of our defense force turns out to be one of these? What are we going to do if our childhood friend turns out to be, there's a lot of things we don't know. Is it just a simple situation where that kaiju parasite goes into a human and allows him to transform? Is it a situation where some kaijus just develop into more sentient-like beings and they're now blending in? It's hard to say. All we know is that Kafka has seemingly full control over the kaiju that went into his body. But if there's multiple of those things, does it happen in a way where it's like sometimes it goes into a person and they have full control? My gut says that this thing started as a kaiju to begin with and just has took up a human identity and transformed, because the idea that it was holding the phone in the bathroom is like, oh, how do we, it felt like it didn't understand human culture, meaning shit's about to get a lot more interesting. Even if this is the only imposter among us, it still makes you skeptical of anything you're going to see going forward. Of course, I have full live reactions to Kaiju number 8 over on my Patreon. If you want to see my full length of thoughts to this or any of these wonderful episodes, it's going to be over there if you're interested. So, I literally walked in thinking this wasn't going to be a crazy episode. I truly figured that the exam would be over in 5 minutes into this episode, because ultimately, our boy proved that he was able to pass of his own merits. He had an insane amount of intelligence. He actually kind of reminds me of Deku from My Hero Academia before getting All Might's ability, because ultimately he had such knowledge on heroes but just didn't have the abilities to do anything with it. And his natural intelligence for fighting and tactics made sense. And he was the only character in this exam to increase his level. Even if it was only by 0.01%, he's the only character who changed in fluctuation, which was actually incredibly impressive. So when things started popping off and I realized it wasn't going to go over, I was like, okay, he's going to come in, transform, save the day, and I just immediately respected this. You got to enjoy Kafka as a character, as someone who actually was able to do it of his own merits. The teamwork between him and his bro was top tier. I just loved it. I loved how goofy it was, I love how symbolic it was, and the idea of letting him fight in kaiju form against kaijus after the exam's pretty much over at this point, right? It just made it feel like he's gonna earn that W while also learning how to blend in with the kaiju stuff. I wasn't expecting him to just casually go up to Kikuru and just be like, hey girl, I thought he was gonna pop up already in the form and she'd be confused. Instead, he's like, I got this. Transforms in front of her and then just immediately begs, please for the love of God, don't expose me. I think they did a pretty good thing with the end of the episode. The second in command, the vice captain, he's not an idiot. He knows something's up. Prior to that conversation, he said, she may be talented, but there's no way this girl did that. And he immediately noticed, okay, she kind of side-eyed when asked, hey, thanks for doing this. Oh, wait, you didn't do it? And then she covers. So from his point of view, he knows something's probably up. Knows she's valuable. Could be the strongest warrior they have someday, given enough time and training. But the idea that he's going to know something's up, he's already piecing it together that it's similar from a few months ago, which, if my memory serves, is the exact point when he first transformed and escaped from the hospital and did everything that he did. But I like what they're doing. There's a lot of subtle story beats that are being set up. Good character beats. I said it last week. I may have disagreed with how she threw that damn car and I thought she was a horrible person for doing it. But after last episode, I was really excited to see where her character goes. I'm even more excited to see now that I know the whole daddy issues situation and also who she is as a person deep down inside. This was a very good episode for her because it shows you that even though she's confused as hell, she can recognize a good person when she sees it. And she recognized he was strong even prior to this moment, of course, which is why she got so infuriated that, he continuously was failing things, knowing that he was a lot stronger than he was making himself look. So the idea that we're going to have an interesting trio of main characters, and I think all of them offer something interesting, but I think my favorite part of learning about her character, because I thought her dad was dead, like the way she initially was like looking up at the sky, I thought she was like praying to the heavens because Daddy Dearest was dead. Mom's dead, dad's alive, dad's a hard ass, kind of gave me Endeavor vibes if I'm being honest. The look, the voice, everything just kind of reminded me of Endeavor. Basically like, oh, you got 100%? That's expected. Go on to your next goal. Probably if you got 99%, probably a beating, at least emotional. Because just the idea that she was so alone, and probably the only parental figure she had in her life growing up was that butler. Very much just like, even in like what was supposed to be her dying moments, she was still trying to please her father or feeling guilty like she let her dad down. It's just, there's a lot of complexities at play, and I guess that could explain why she was such a bitch when it came to throwing our car. Because if you're basically being treated as you're supposed to be above everyone, the parking scene makes more sense. Doesn't excuse it, but it makes more sense on why her perception of how to be nice was warped if that's how she was raised. But in general, we're on a roll. The music's fire, the characterization's fire, the production is still popping off, and it's just getting better. This is the type of plot twist that you want. It very much reminds me of Titan Shifters from Attack on Titan, where there's a lot of mindless kaiju, and then there's some who have that Titan Shifter-like ability that allows them to be in control and everything. But this is great. We're a third of the way through this first season, and this is the type of moment that definitely keeps you engaged and say there's a lot more to the story than just simply cleaning up kaiju. Because listen, I like a good kaiju flick. I just saw the new Godzilla and Kong movie. That shit's fun as hell. It's not the most complex story out there, but that shit's fun as hell. You can just make a fun as hell kaiju anime and I'm going to be happy. But I see a lot more going on with this story deep down inside, and I'm excited for more. And I'm not gonna lie, like I've said it a few times, but I legitimately think this is like the best opening of the season. I listen to the song a few times a week. Like I don't know, I see a lot of people push back against it, but you know what? I'm not a Youngblood fan, but that opening slaps. Now, of course, those are my feelings. I mean, everyone's gonna have their opinion. This is definitely one of the most marketed shows of the season, so there's a lot more like, I don't get why people like it. I tried it. It's generic. This, that, and the third. It is what it is. I've definitely expressed why I like it, but let me know what you thought, because I think this was kind of a turning point of the show. But let me know what you're feeling down below. Leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new around here, of course ring that bell so you know if I want to upload more, and like I mentioned, got those full live reactions over on Patreon, and hey, while you're over there, I'll also give you a video shout out. So today we have Demi Bear, Chaz in Space, Alzer, A. Barrett, What's Down, The Drunk Crusader, and Tommy Jamerson. So I appreciate the support, everyone. Please take care and have a good one.